What's up, guys? It's your girl, Mz.O, and we are back for another review with me as we get into these ladies right here, the Real Housewives of Rhode Island, Season 1, Episode 3. And I must admit, I normally don't watch the Caucasian ladies, but these chicks right here got me in a chokehold. Rhode Island is probably going to be my favorite Housewives franchise. So, with all of that being said, as the intro plays, do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel because I know y'all watching, and let somebody know I'm over here doing reviews. So, we are going to get into these ladies. This episode starts off with a montage with all the ladies. We start with Rosie and her husband Rich, and they're outside cleaning their car as Ashley and her husband Jared pulls up. And the boys chit chat. Rosie's done washing the car because she wasn't really washing the car anyways. She was waiting on Ashley. So Ashley and Rosie, they go over into the house and they begin to talk about last episode's scene at the winery. Let me backtrack and talk about Rosie and Rich's home. They have a one bed, one bath home with a 3-car garage. And basically, they are going to do renovations on this house. Because one bedroom in Rhode Island on the Housewives, yeah, they're going to end up doing some renovations. So the ladies go inside and they discuss the winery, and Rosie basically said, I could have been way more nosier than I was, but I didn't. And it was so funny because Ashley brings up how funny it was to actually find out that Kelsey is in a polyamorous relationship. And if you guys caught, I believe it was my episode 2 review, I put a question out there. Is it poly or is she dating? Because somebody that's in that realm, explain it to me. Explain to me what the difference is between polyamorous relationship and dating. Now, we do know the difference between polygamous relationship and poly. Polygamous, you're married. Poly, you're not. But if you're not married and you're dating or in situationships with multiple people, wouldn't that be considered in dating and not poly? I would think poly, you have a center player, whether it be the man or the wife, and then they will have their concubines, whether that be a man or a woman, however that rolls. But somebody that's well more versed in that, y'all let me know what's going on there. But anyways, Rosie begins to say, it was a plot twist because I never thought that I would be feeling bad for Joellen, but everybody can sense what was going on with Joellen and Rulla. And when you hear the full details of it, Rulla is a delusional lady that needs some help on checking her man. Anywho, so we jump over to the next portion of the montage, which is Joellen and her husband Gerry. They're out in the back of their home at the pool, sitting down, and Joellen is filling Gerry in on what happened at the winery. And she basically was like, I found out that Liz and Kelsey met with Rulla, which that kind of threw me off, considering that they are my friends. But they met up when we was at the winery after the tour. Kelsey let me know that Rulla was supposed to be coming, and I'm so glad she didn't. She's the whole issue, and really, Liz does not have an issue with Rulla per se. She has an issue with what her husband has been doing um, at her job. And God damn it, she got every right to be upset. You're calling, and at the end of this episode, we go into details about what actually happened. But you're calling, making cold calls to her job, trying to get that lady fired. And that's a no-no. A no. So let me check out my notes where we are. So we move forward with Liz's montage, and Liz goes on to tell her husband Gerry about what happened at the winery. They're on a bike ride, and she just tell him, these rumors that's going on in regards to myself and Dino is ridiculous. We know what our relationship is. You know what our relationship is. You know what our relationship is amongst the three of us, and that should just be it. And I really think that's how you need to clean that up. Gerry know what's going on. Dino know what's going on. Liz know what's going on. Long as the three of us know what's going on, y'all don't need to be concerned with it. And checking the friends, i.e., Alicia, on and Kelsey, on keeping that rumor afloat. Just dead it. Just dead it. Now, Liz does go in the confessional and try to explain to us once again what's going on with her and Dino. And honestly, Liz, I think you're making it worse, because the more you're trying to put emphasis on y'all not having a relationship, is going to give the viewers more and more ammo to find out if y'all really was having a relationship or not. So nip this shit in the bud real quick, get it over with so we can be done with it. You know what I'm saying? Gerry and Liz does discuss that Gerry is turning 54, so they are going to have a theme party, and that theme party is going to be studio, excuse me, studio 54. Because he's turning 54. Back at Studio 54, they used to be getting a party on with the party drugs. I know y'all heard about Studio 54. I'm not old enough to be a part of that scene just yet, but I definitely heard stories about Studio 54. So that is the theme. That's what they doing. And it looked like a great turnout at the end. My bad, y'all. I keep coughing, so I got to put a haul in. So y'all might hear it, y'all might not. But anyways, moving on, we hop back over to Joellen, and Joellen tells her husband that Rulla and Brian will be at the Studio 54 theme party, and Gerry plans on addressing this whole situation with Rulla and Brian. And Joellen said, "Baby, if you address this, you might get you some." And I think that man got him some that night, because address it, he did. Next up, we had Kelsey, and Kelsey pulls up at a coffee shop. The coffee shop looked cute. Her coffee looked like it tastes good. But then we find out that she is there to meet the other man, whose name is William, but go by Bill. And we do find out that Bill has been around for a very long time. Kelsey has known Bill since he was in the 7th grade. Bill is intertwined within her family. Her mom loves him. Every time she sees Kelsey, she brings Bill up and want to know when they going to get married. So I think the thing with Bill is he can give her what she's desiring at the end, which is marriage and children, but he cannot provide her the luxury lifestyle that he has. So with that being said, she is just on the fence. I mean, living a life of luxury for 10 years straight with no complications, it's gonna be hard for you to give up, but you have to evaluate what you want for real. If being a mother and being a wife is something that you desire, then it looks like you're gonna have to leave boyfriend number one alone and get with boyfriend number two. Now, I will say, being married is not what it's all cracked up to be. Myself, legally, am not married, but I have been with my partner for over 17 years. And baby, when I tell you, you got to put the work in, you got to put the work in. And if you are not willing to put the work in, do not tie yourself up with paperwork. Just period. Just live your life and be comfortable. And that is how I feel about Miss Alicia. So we get to the Alicia scene where Liz pulls up to Alicia's house, and that's where we find out about the party. Alicia did apologize to Liz about bringing the rumor up. And she was like, I just want to know. I just was asking questions because I know people have questions about me in regards to why I'm not getting married. And Alicia goes in to explain why she's not getting married. And I told y'all, episode 1, leave these people alone. If it works for them, it works for them. But what we do find out is that Liz has never seen a successful relationship within her family. She has 6, her mom and 5 aunts. 5 of them are divorced. So she's never really seen a good relationship. And she also has to piggyback on how her mom and dad's situation ended. And that man left them, sold the house, and all she has of him is her last name, and maybe he's fucked up tempered, which is all bad news. We find out that Alicia's husband wanted her to sign a prenup, and when she took the prenup to the lawyer told her, "Ma'am, you signing this, you ain't getting nothing. You not gonna get nothing." And Alicia's at this point where if something happened, if he cheat, if he leave, if he die, she wants to be secure. She needs a house, something, and he won't even put her name on the house. So Alicia, I think you are doing the right thing. Nothing wrong with walking around with that bling ring on, coming across like y'all married, but not having the paperwork. You do need to get something set in stone that if and when something does happen to him, that you can get something. So with your tagline, it makes so much sense now. When you saying, why get a slice when you can have a whole damn pie? Baby, you don't even got a slice. You got the crust. So, yeah. Maybe this is a stepping stone for you to get your own payola and bounce up out of there, because he knows why you're not getting married and he's happy and he's content with it, but it doesn't seem like that you're happy and content with it. But we'll see what's going on moving forward. Now, when we get to Liz's confessional, she tells us that her and Gerry are true partners in everything. They started their business together. They bought their house together. Everything is about the partnership. So they do everything 50-50. And really, honestly, that's how life should be, for real. Having a partner, doing this shit 50-50. And 50-50 might not be for real 50-50. I'm going to use mine for instance. My partner, he makes way more money than I do. He carries most of the bills. But then I come in and I do the cooking, I do the cleaning. I'll get a utility bill here and there, stuff like that. But we work together, we communicate together to make sure things work. I did put in my notes that I see that Alicia is catching on that she needs her own stuff. And being a housewife is not it. Or a house girlfriend, as she would say, is not it. So we move on to Rulla. I'm gonna tell y'all now, Rulla is gonna get on my motherfucking nerves, okay? Because she is delusional with this grandiosity of being a wife. Like, girl, your husband got you out here looking like a motherfucking fool, and your tagline is talking about being a loyal wife. Girl, bye. Anywho, we get over to Rulla house. Rulla is having a Lebanese brunch with her friends, and her friends, clearly these are her friends because they know what's going on. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Rulla, your friends is giving you some shitty advice. Pull up to the party, show them that you guys are together. You guys are walking in together, and we can tell that y'all are not madly in love. You guys are walking in together, and we know that your husband is still cheating. Y'all are walking in together looking like some fucking fools. But hey, those are your friends. They telling you shitty advice, and if you're gonna take it, take it. But anywho, in the confessional, Rulla breaks down, and as a woman, I have an ounce of sympathy because I am a mother, and I know what it's like to be experiencing turmoil within your relationship, and it's affecting you, your partner, and your children. I definitely understand that whole thing. But something my therapist told me when I first started therapy, I used to go in my session with this mindset that if the children are cool, if the children are straight, if the children are happy, then we will be good. And my therapist flipped it on me and she said, no, honey, no, no, sweetie, that's not how it works. If you and your partner are good, your children are destined to be great because y'all are straight. And it took me a long time to wrap my head around how to flip that, how to maneuver around that. But once I start um, dedicating time to our date nights and making sure that we was just locked in, them kids kind of fell back because I wasn't working overdrive just try to make sure they was straight and neglecting my partner. When me and my partner got on one accord, those kids were straight because they were never neglected because me and him was on one accord. So I don't know what you're gonna do, Rulla, but I hope that Brian does not continue to have you out here looking like a fool. That's what I will say. Now I did glance over here at my notes and I put Rulla is really pissing me off. And I put that in there because you are taking your anger out on the wrong person. The person you need to be taking your anger out on is your husband, Brian, because he got you out here looking like a fool. You're solely putting the blame on Rulla, like Rulla is the issue, is you being the issue. Y'all don't want to face what's going on. It's clear. It's very clear. It's very clear, especially at the end of this episode. But we'll get to that point when we get to that point. Next up, I put in my notes, we meet up with Crybaby Spice. And if y'all don't know, that is my nickname for Miss Ashley because she cried. We are on episode 3 and the first 2 episodes she cried. So her nickname for Mz.O for this season is definitely going to be Crybaby Spice. So we see Ashley popping in at a restaurant. We do find out that this restaurant is located across the street from her and her husband's business, Audrey. Her husband wraps up the store closing and he runs across the street and he meets his wife. And I put in my notes, they are a very, very cute couple. And I do sincerely understand why Ashley is trying to make sure they continue to stay cute and make sure that they are in love with one another. What I'm sensing that is Jared's problem is that he has a moral complexity problem. He probably grew up where the man takes care of the woman is probably or should probably be a stay-at-home mom, and that's just really not translating. And he's feeling some kind of way because his wife has to work and pull her weight as long as him putting in the time and effort, and he's really not seeing, a kickback from that. What I will say is y'all will have to get a healthy balance. Audrey is something that is providing for your family. He's going to have to learn how to shut on and shut off. And in the confessional, Ashley has stated that even when he's here, he's not here. That's something that he's going to have to learn to deal with. You constantly pressing the issue about him being here but not here, those little nagging things, is going to create more stress on y'all situation. Actually, what I think you should do is really, you and your husband really sit down and talk with a therapist, and figure out a way where y'all can make everything work. You know what I'm saying? He really loves this business. He really wants this business to be up. And I think maybe y'all should make a goal. He grind for 6 months and then he finds somebody to take over. And what I mean is manage the day to day. He be the owner, but he has his general manager managing the day to day. But y'all gonna have to figure out some kind of common ground to get that situated, or y'all marriage is going to be doomed. Next up, we have Rosie and Rich. We find out in this sitting that they are celebrating their 1 year anniversary, and visually looking at them, they do not look like they are a good match fitting. But it do look like that Rosie and Rich do care about one another. So, yeah. They go into the topic of their relationship, and Rosie honestly thought he was just gonna be her boy toy and didn't think nothing was gonna go forward past that, even though she did want to get married. Now they did talk about the topic of having children, and it looked like at first they were all on one accord, but as time went on, it seemed like Rich may be feeling different. And the topic of children and having children, that whole debacle, could make or break your relationship. She's very adamant that she doesn't want any children. She never had a desire to have any children. And that's solely based off, her relationship with her mom. And I can completely understand. What I will say is, if you know children are not for you, don't have them. I wish I understood and had a sentiment that I have now. I love all three of my children. I truly do. But I probably would have waited a long time before I had children if, I didn't have the religious thing in the background initially, because my partner, he did want children. He's very, very clear that he didn't want children. But I also can say we wasn't doing anything to prevent having children either. So it is what it is. Rosie, if having children is not your thing, you need to let your husband know for real. And you know, y'all might need to split if that's something that he's gonna want in the long run. Uh yeah, that's all I had to say about that. Cute couple. Maybe you might change your mind in a year or so. As Rich said, I don't think she's gonna change her mind. So we're gonna see how that works out. We're gonna see. So we move into another montage where we see everyone getting ready for Gerry's Studio 54 theme party. And once the montage is over, we begin to see the party guests arrive at Liz's home. Liz's home is amazing. Liz's home shows us that her and Gerry got money, that the weed game is real lucrative for them. That's what it shows us. Also, something that I clocked amongst the party goers, Alicia is the bone carrier of Rhode Island. Alicia is gonna get the conversations popping, and it's gonna come across like she two-faced, but she just putting the shit out there on the table. So that's what I saw. After all the party guests arrived, first Rulla got there before Gerry and Joellen, which was good. Kind of get her a sense of being relaxed. Because, baby, when Joellen and Gerry got there, they got straight to the shit. Joellen went and got her a drink, and then she summons her husband, and they got straight to work. And, baby, before Brian could even sit his ass down, Gerry got straight to the point. What's going on? Why did you send this email? What's going on? So Brian began to give us this long, drawn out story that sounded like a lie. I'm going to just be honest with y'all. His explanation of what took place sounded like a whole crock of bullshit. Brian begins to tell Gerry, my intentions wasn't to get her fired. And Gerry said, well, what was your intentions? Gerry, I love it. Stand up for Joellen. But like Gerry said, we all want to know what your intentions was. He says that he was talking to one of his friends who happened to be a co-worker of Joellen's or a part of the HR, whoever this friend was. He was conversing with this friend about the gripes that he had about Joellen, spreading the rumor about him cheating. Sir, Mr. Brian, come here. Ain't nobody spreading no rumor. You was cheating on your wife. We got the proof. In episode 2, they showed 2 pictures. One of you kissing her while she was on your lap, and one of her sitting on your lap with a big ass smile. We didn't see her face, but she had a big ass smile. Anywho, nobody's playing games. Nobody's lying on you. You were cheating on your wife, and you thought you was gonna have this conversation with your friend, and it was gonna get that girl in trouble and get her fired, and it backfired on your ass. Stop playing games. I will say Rosie did crack me up a little bit in her confessionals because she straight turned professional and put on her reporter hat and became a relationship commentator on what was being said over there at the table. And she had me funny. Gerry did have that glittery ass jacket on though, but he was getting into Brian as he should, flat out. Gerry wants to nip this shit in the bud. He was like, all this picture stuff and all this. He said, she said, I don't really care about that. What I want to address is you reaching out to her job, putting something in the air where she could have possibly lost her job in the way we provide for our children. What's going on with that? What's the deal with that? So then, this is when we get to the juicy part. Because Joanna said, maybe it's not done, and you don't want to admit that. That's fine. Rulla chimes back and says, but he's not having an affair. And Joellen says, but he is. And if you don't want to be truthful about that, that's fine. But he is. And I put, Joellen, you better have some proof because you coming in hot. And when she said, I promise, I put that on my kids, I said, oh, Miss Joella might be friends with the mistress because when you put something on your kids, I'm just going to be honest, I ain't putting nothing on my kids for real. Unless I got actual factual proof. That lady put that shit on her kids. So she knows that Brian is still out here cheating. And us as viewers now know that Brian is still out here cheating because of Brian's response. Brian said, you know, we all got things we do. Not cheating. I ain't cheating on my man, and he ain't cheating on me. So I don't know what are all the things that you do. And he goes on to proceed. I'm not talking about anything. Rulla wants her husband to stand up. And it's just not translating, honey. It's just not. Rulla turns to Brian and said, just tell him how it is. And Rulla, you really don't want him to tell her how it is because he will be telling you that he's cheating on you. So Liz come and interrupt what's going on because she already know what's going on. And she like, look, this is Gerry party. We're not doing that shit here. Let's celebrate my husband. Liz, I feel you. I felt you until you did what you did with Kelsey in that whole situation. So they dispersed and they asked Joellen what was going on, and Joellen basically tell him, Gerry getting laid tonight. He stood up for me. He's getting laid tonight. Period, point blank. Rulla and Brian decides to leave. Now, as Brian was walking out, he said something to the effects of, what? She's going to accuse me of being at a Diddy party next? First of all, wrong thing to say in the climate that we are in. Second of all, your ass probably was at a Diddy party and probably with your mistress at the Diddy party. Stop it. Dude, Rulla, Brian got you out here looking like a dumbass, and you're complicit in his visuals of making you look like a dumbass. You know what's going on. That car ride was so sad and silent because you know that your husband is not done with that lady. And he know he ain't done with that lady. But whatever. We find out that Liz is just sloppy drunk. I mean, it's a party and it's a Studio 54 theme party, so I'm expecting her to be drunk. She wanted to go out on the seawall with Gerry and Dino, and Kelsey didn't think it was a good idea because of the rumors. Kelsey, be quiet. But also, Kelsey and Liz are friends. So as her friend, she should have said what she said. We wrap up the scene with Hurricane Liz and Miss Rhode Island going at it. Liz mad that Kelsey brought it up. Kelsey is mad that Liz is calling her out. Then we find out that Miss Rhode Island and Dino know each other. But Liz said we got to ask Kelsey for that. Kelsey, girl, you got too many suitors, but ain't nothing wrong with that because you ain't married. Now, Mr. Dino, it sounds like you get around. What's going on? But that pretty much wrapped up the scene for this episode. I'll give this episode a 8.5. Like I said, I'm truly enjoying the Real Housewives of Rhode Island. If you made it to the end of this video, please do me a favor. Drop a green heart so I can know y'all came. Have some Discord with me because I really would like to know what the people are thinking as far as the new franchise for the Housewives. But with that being said, I'm your girl, Mz.O. This is my review with me, and this is what Mz.O has said.